you read the whole thing, you have to learn everything. And then in the back here, okay, there's a test in every book. And so you have to take the test and review it, such as a current list of Marine Corps orders, what manuals used for service-wide, you can find the objective, okay, shipping and receiving, stuff like that. I was a grunt, but you still had to pass all the tests, and you had to pass all the courses in order to get these books. I take pride in them because, like I said, I did a lot of them. Why did I do a lot of them? Is because when you're in the infantry, you've got time on your hands, okay? Introduction to test equipment. The principles of instruction for the Marine NCO, okay? So a lot of times we had to take, before we get our rank, okay? Whenever you get rank, you also have to take MCIs. Okay, so corrections supervisor, diesel engine troubleshooting, tools and test handbook, diesel engine maintenance, fundamentals of diesel engines, diesel engine maintenance and trouble. Okay, then we get into the fun stuff, which is reconnaissance Marine. Every Marine wants to be recon, right? But there's courses, and you have to take classes, and you gotta go through, and you have to pass the training. It's not just, everybody thinks to be reconnaissance or a SEAL or anything else that, all you do is you just go in, it's all physical. It's not. It's actually more mental than physical. The physical part is just so that you can maintain on your own. You don't want somebody going into a country and doing the physical work that can't cope. Alright, let's get into the yellow ones. Okay, staff NCO, drill, ceremonies, uniform, regulations, and inspections. Fun, trust me. Operations. Okay, so this is MCI 71110. They all have different operations. So, Marine Corps history and traditions. Okay, so a lot of these you can actually go back to and actually look at the truth of what's going on, not just what rumor and gossip is. You can actually go on here, and we've had people do all the research. Okay, personal administration, tactical communication. Sheesh, that was a butt. Okay, military justice. All right, so everybody knows that I do legal for a living, but when I was in, I was still just a grunt. Okay, more leadership and more military training. Okay, and then let's go with the last section here, and then we're done for this stuff anyway, and we'll just talk as I'm putting it all back away. So, sergeant's courses, corporal's courses. Okay, this is sergeant's distant education program. As you can see, once you become an NCO, there's E4 is corporal, E5 is sergeant. Okay. Now you're looking at all this, plus you look at the training, and now they're starting to kick Marines and Navy out because they didn't get these shots because they don't believe in them. Yet you look at everything it takes to be a Marine and everything you go through and everything you have to do. It makes me sick to my stomach that they're kicking out military, and we're talking about hundreds of military now. They're gutting our military like you wouldn't believe. Okay, warfighting tactics, introduction to warfighting, military studies. Alright, weapons, more weapons, yay! The thing about it is the weapons have even updated even since I've been in. But we got the weapons, more warfighting tactics, basic grammar and composition. I think somebody was trying to tell me something for the longest time. But I just kind of wanted to show you those books and everything. Now, if you guys have any questions on them, go ahead and ask. Hey, Jack, what's going on, guys? I was just kind of going over. I'm an 0311, okay? I am just a grunt. I'm the tip of the spear in the Marine Corps, okay? There's nothing really that special about me. The Marine Corps League, yes, I'm still the commandant. We still got to do our elections. But I was kind of going over everything that, as Marines, that we had to read. Everybody always looks at Marines like we are dumb, we don't know what we're talking about, we're stupid, oh my God, they don't know, they're crane eaters. But what they don't know is Marines actually probably do some of the most reading out of every branch. We do some of the most writing, we do some of the most testing. We are more than just, physically fit all the time. Our brains have to be ready to go at a moment's notice. We're constantly being drilled over everything. I remember I did a nomenclature of a weapon once, and I purposely pissed off the staff NCO because he made me mad. So I pretended I didn't know what it was. I probably shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. Everywhere from swimming, Marines, I think outside of Marines are the only other branch other than the Coast Guard that requires a physical fitness or a swim qualification when you go to boot camp. However, I was an SW5, so when I got out and everything else, then my job was to actually teach and train guys that needed extra help with swimming. My job was to actually help them to make sure they could swim. Later on, I did scuba and stuff. That was just me. I still do it to this day. I like the scuba. One of my friends, one of the guys I served with, he got out after me. He does rescue scuba too, and he does firefighting, and that's Fisher. Really nice guy. Hey, look, Kosovo Smart Pack to peacekeeping. That's when we were over in Kosovo. Yes, I bought like postcards and stuff when I was overseas, and a lot of the stuff you're seeing is different things I don't want to bring up on here. But it's all part of what we did. So as I've talked to you guys, got any questions about it, go ahead and ask. Very nice, yeah, I know, right? There's just a lot. I snorkeled in the Bahamas. Okay, Angela, I snorkeled in the Bahamas. I wish I was snorkeling in the Bahamas. Going to hit the rack. Love your brother. Semper Fi, Robert. Love your brother. Love you too. Didn't count for college education. Yeah, I know. Some of them didn't count for college, you know, but like I said, you got your PFT, you got your college credits for, like, gym class, but if you went to a state school, they would actually count your MCIs, a lot of them. A lot of people don't know it's where I got a lot of my credits at. When I did go to college, when I was in college and everything else, I got a lot of my credits from what I did in the Marine Corps. But I was also at Parks University and Campbell University before I went to Western Illinois University. So, one day, you know, my kids will see this. So if they ever had any questions, like I said, I can talk to you guys about it. And years down the road, you know, if any of my kids, if I ever have any kids, or my daughter or anybody else's kids want to know something about me, they can come on here and they can see all the different things I take. Not just what they got, but, you know, maybe this preserves it a little bit better. Yes, I'm drinking my chocolate milk. I like my chocolate milk. What's that? And I don't know very much. I just took a lot of classes. Okay. Every Marine will stick up for me on this one, okay? We do a lot of what's called hurry up and wait in the United States Marine Corps. It's not a joke. We have a lot of time on our hands between training, between deployments, even when we're on deployment. So we work out a lot, we read a lot, and we read, work out, go to college classes. A lot of us are in college classes nonstop. You ever wonder why a lot of Marines, when they get out, get into government, get into politics, because they're doing classes while they're in. Believe it or not, they're doing their college while they're in the Marine Corps. And it's really funny is because everybody thinks that Marines, you're dumb going to the Marine Corps because that's the stupid branch. You know, that's where everybody... When actually you're going in and you start looking at all of our elected officials, you start looking at CEOs of businesses and companies, you start looking at owner-operators driving, you start looking at some of the people that have had true success, you'll notice that it's always Marines. And you got to ask yourself why. It's because we hold ourselves to a higher discipline, but we also take that time, and we don't just sit on our butts all the time with our thumb up our butt. We actually are sitting there taking courses, taking college, you know, learning different things to do. You know, we're writing, we're reading. Yes, we watch movies and stuff. Yes, we spend a lot of time with DVD. Well, when I was in DVDs, I'm sure now it's more of your Netflix and all that stuff like that. But on board ship, I am pretty sure that when you're in a blacked out area, you're still not going to get signal to your computers and stuff, so you're going to want to have a lot of the computers and everything. You're going to want to have a lot of DVDs, or at least a lot of memory on your computers and stuff. So when I was in, no, most of us did not have cell phones. A few did, not everybody. A few had vehicles, not everybody. Nowadays, most everybody's got a vehicle and a cell phone. But it's funny is because now it just gets harder, because now that you have this extra space and this extra time, now they're expecting more out of you. They carry more gear now. They have to learn more stuff now. So everybody thinks that the Marine Corps, that the old school had it the best. I think it gets harder year after year after year with all the different things you got to learn. Think about it. Years ago, they didn't have night vision goggles, okay? But you still had to know how to traverse the nighttime. You still had to do nighttime land navigation. You still had to do all this stuff. Nowadays, you've got GPSs and stuff. That's great. But you also have to know what your gear is. You got to know territory, land terrain. You have to know temperature, weather. You know, every year, the military, especially the Marine Corps, gets better. It doesn't get worse. It gets better because we learn a lot more. We do a lot more. We think a lot more. You know, what can make us better? What can make us more of a warfighting experience? You're right. Right now, we're going to the North China Sea because we're looking at island campaigns again, like we did during World War II, like we did when we were fighting the Japanese. Because you can't take tanks and stuff on the islands. You cannot get on and off quickly when you have heavy materials and stuff. However, they're going back to a time, but they're just using new technology. But guess what? That new technology, salt water still ruins stuff. Let's face it, okay? And let's face it, tanks still you cannot get a tank on and off an island, you know, using a submarine. You know, you can't fly a tank, you know, unless you have a heavy lift helicopter to an island and then fly it off again really quickly. So you're constantly, I don't know why somebody would try to call me in the middle of a conversation. That's just rude. So you're constantly pushing yourself to do more. So if you're thinking about the Marines are getting, you know, I did see where the Army wants to absorb the Marine Corps because, oh, they don't need a Marine Corps. I can argue, and so could the majority of all officers and enlisted, and so can the majority of most Americans. They say that America doesn't need a Marine Corps, it's just they want a Marine Corps. That's not true at all. The Marine Corps takes one thing to stride, and that's we are ready to go at a moment's notice. Everybody in the Marine Corps is ready to go. Prepped, ready to go, no matter what. Anybody in the Marine Corps can go, go, go. The Army cannot do that. Certain parts of the Army can. And I'm not downing the Army on this, okay? This is not an argument. This is the reason why we have a Marine Corps, okay? We can envelop into different branches, but guess what? They can't fight the way we fight, okay? They can't we are light infantry. We are the guys that can get in and out in a heartbeat. Every battle has been, you know, there have been Marines. You're right. On D-Day, there were not very many Marines because most of the Marines were fighting the Pacific, okay? We were actually, you know, going up against the Japanese and stuff like that. And a lot of people, those were some of the most deadliest, I mean, fighting the Japanese, it was America versus Japanese. It wasn't a whole bunch of other, you know, countries fighting against the Japanese. It was basically America versus the Japanese. But over in when we were fighting Germany and you had Great Britain, France, all this others, you know, the first thing we had to do, we had to invade France. A lot of people, they don't like to admit it, but during D-Day, we had to invade France. Why? Because Germany went into France. France gave up. They're like, oh, don't destroy our city. We'll give you France. So we actually had to invade France. So the French were not on our side. We fought against the French. But then they did come to our side. Why? Because they saw that the Germans were just, Hitler was just a nasty, nasty piece of crap that, you know, hopefully he rots in hell for the rest of his life. Anybody that believes in killing Jewish, anybody that believes in hatred and slavery and stuff like that, they can rot in hell. I don't care. You know what? Anybody that looks at a person's color or religion and thinks, "Oh, you're inferior," that's to me is just wrong. You know. And then you go around and killing them. Slobodan Milosevic out of Serbia, okay, it was the same way. But you know, he was hung in jail. Why? Because he basically killed thousands and thousands of ethnic Albanians. He was just a piece of crap, and he was a dictator. Okay. Mussolini, you know, we had to fight Italy. Everybody forgets about it. You know, the nice thing about Italy is our mafia was Italy, and we made deals with the mafia in the United States. So we actually went into Italy because of the dictator because of what they did, because of Mussolini and stuff, because of what they did in Italy. Americans went in there without any bloodshed whatsoever because the mafia, who were protecting our ports, basically made deals with them. And the dawn of all those, that when we got over to Italy, got a tank ride. I got that off Netflix, by the way. But I've done a lot of research and stuff on World War II. It's one of my majors in college. So, if you're ever wondering, it's pretty neat information. But like I said, my thing is bragging on the Marines is not because of we just talking. It's because I like to prove the stuff we've done. I like to show everything the Marine Corps does. I know where Palermo is. I've been to Palermo, believe it or not, Angela. Palermo's a beautiful country. They got some aqueducts. They're not fully, but they're from almost back in the Roman time frame. They're pretty much, it's pretty neat though. So, like I said, history's really big in the military, especially the Marine Corps. So I just kind of want to give everybody a brief introduction to what MCIs are and how much there is of the MCIs and all of our tactical books and these dumb things here, which I hate, but they came in very, very handy, believe it or not. I don't want to read too much out of them. I don't have permission to read stuff out of them online, and I'm not going to get in trouble for that kind of stuff. I read my regular books online, you know, books that are motivating, leadership, and inspiring, but a lot of people don't know that a lot of where I get my inspiration comes from directly from the military itself, and that because that's who I am. That's where we get a lot of our information out of. And hopefully one day my daughter will know everything that we did and where we went and who we saw. And I was also the historian in the Marine Corps, which means I got a lot of pictures and videos. Not all of them are online, but if you ever wonder why I got so many Marines, it's because I'm also the one that took the most photographs everywhere we were at. I got a couple of float books around here somewhere. I got stuff from every kind of training we did, every country we've been in, so it's pretty neat. And I had fun doing it. So, like I said, I'm a Marine through and through. A lot of my Marine Corps brothers and stuff now, they're owner-operators, they own businesses. We try to stay up with each other a lot more, so that's always a neat thing. Sorry, I gotta keep trying to read what people are sitting there saying things, but they're not necessarily questions. Yeah, my daughter half the time was ready to strangle me. Just because we did so much stuff. I don't like sitting down for too long. I like to make sure we're always constantly moving, doing something, getting out there, you know, being active. That's the whole idea. When people lie and stuff, or, you know, whenever anybody hears some rumor or gossip, that's all it is, rumor and gossip. I know people, it's funny how many people like to say, I've had people tell me, oh, you were in the Marine Corps? Oh, you were there? I'm like, no, was in the Marine Corps, buddy. Got the pictures, got the videos to prove it. Got my friends. And then, you know, people are like, well, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that. I'm like, you know what? Just because you have a different opinion than me doesn't mean somebody can't do something. It just means that that person is trying to be a dictator and tell you what you can and cannot do. But that's not what freedom's about. And there are people out there today, you know, they don't want you using any type of gasoline, but it runs our country. They don't want you eating any kind of meat. But let's face it, without meat, you won't eat. And half the country would die. Okay? Without oil, you can't make the electric cars. You want to know something, a little history about the electric cars? The electric car was here first. The electric car came about before gas was even invented. So we've had electric cars. They just didn't work right. And now that we use oil and stuff to make these cars, it's funny because now we're using more oil and we're using more precious resources, building batteries that don't last very long in order to try to make people think that we're... To me, I'd rather have a vehicle be able to rust down and go away than a vehicle that you have to put in a special storage area because no matter what, you can never get around it again because they're radioactive or they're really bad for the environment. Hello! Yes, hello. We're on here today. Just all having a good old time, right? If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask me. I'm going to start putting these books away. If you have questions, ask me. I'm going to try to put these away in color code, which I probably should have done the first time I did this instead of reading. So, if you have questions, ask. I'll answer as many questions over anything. I just do my best. It's late at night, so I'm not too worried about who's on, who's off. If you're a trucker, give me a thumbs up, give me a hi if you're on there. If you're a truck driver, if you're military, give me a thumbs up, give me a hi. If you're from the United States, give me a thumbs up, give me a hi. If you're from another country, give me a thumbs up, give me a hi, and tell me what country you're from. I get a lot of people from all over the world, which I love. To me, that's what makes everything worthwhile, is being able to nowadays be able to communicate with people from all over the world, like literally all over the world, which is, to me, it's fantastic. I had some of the greatest people I know, families I belong. A lot of people don't know that I belong to the Mex-Ams Association and the Philims, which is the Mexican American Association and the Filipino American Association. Because when I was in the Marine Corps, over at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, we have a large Filipino population. And I've had families basically adopt me, so like I said, I know what lumpia and all that is. So if everybody always asks me about all these Filipinos, because I know a lot of Filipinos, believe it or not. It's one of the majorities that I know. Mexican American, same thing, you know, and it's great. Did I ever tell you guys a story about my friends that when they came in, they were from Puerto Rico? It's kind of a funny story. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to tell it on here, but I will, because I think it's freaking hilarious. I think it's probably one of the funniest stories I've got. And the reason why is because it deals with about 5 guys that were from Puerto Rico. And they joined our unit. And what's funny about it is captains are supposed to be smarter than all of us, right? You know, at least that's what they say. They're not, though, but that's what they say. So we had these guys come in, and by the way, these are still my friends to this day. And I had to remind them of the story. Then I actually sent them the pictures of the story, because we actually have this on video and pictures also. But we had a captain. I'm not going to say the captain's name because he's a friend of mine too, and if he watches, he's like, I can't believe you're still telling the story. Well, I can't believe you were dumb enough to think this. So we were doing what's called a JOB inspection. A JOB inspection is what's called a junk on the bunk inspection, okay? Most Marines will understand what it is. I'm not sure if the Army does them or not. I know we did inspections in the Army. I don't remember them being called JOB inspections, but we did a lot of inspections. So a junk on the bunk is where you have brand new clothing, brand new, you know, everything out, so that no matter what, you can be deployed at a moment's notice, and everything you own, everything you have, is accounted for. It's not how it actually works, but it's what we do. Half of us have actual extra stuff that we keep in a special plastic container, and we only take out for JOB inspections, because let's face it, most of us went through and used all of our stuff for other things, because we're always running out of stuff. And so you have a special container to where you have extra clothing at all times to be able to take